Hello, my name is Egon Cholakian. Today I have an urgent message for all of humanity that pertains to the fate of our civilization. I elected to bring this message to your esteemed attention following my recent participation in a joint Nobel Prize Committee National Academies of Science meeting in Washington, D.C., whereat we discussed the issues of misinformation and disinformation. This sparked a point in my life where I realized there is so much misleading information on the subject of climate change that inspired me to deliver the following message to you people. This matter is of utmost significance for the survival of every living being on this planet. Before I proceed, I would like to introduce myself briefly to those who are not familiar with me, so that you can understand the seriousness and legitimacy of my message. I, Egon Cholakian, am a qualified particle physicist affiliated with the preeminent CERN Particle Physics Laboratory. I retain a very active role in the development of new technologies with respect to the Future Circular Collider, a particle accelerator with substantially higher energy than previous ones of this type. Likewise, I am actively involved in NASA's NISAR mission, the first satellite mission to collect data with ultra-high frequencies and thus observe a wide range of Earth processes, from the flow rates of glaciers and ice sheets to the dynamics of earthquakes and volcanoes. Additionally, I am an active member of the International Association of Intelligence Educators and an international tax law professional. In my career, I have served as a legislative tax analyst attached to the President's Commission on International Trade and Investment Policy, the White House, under Presidents Nixon and President Ford. I was affiliated with the Harvard Legislative Research Bureau and served on the board of editors of the Harvard Journal of Legislation. Thereafter, I worked with the Reagan Kitchen Cabinet and Reagan White House, where I was intimately involved with President Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative project. In total, I have worked with 4 U.S. presidents. For the most part, I reside in Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA, home to both MIT and Harvard universities, where I have academic roots. Equipped with a combined legal and physical science background, I developed a professional career within the national security, legislative affairs, and academic communities, commencing very early on in my life. My current professional activities take place on Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C., where I serve as a federal lobbyist at the U.S. Congress and White House. Nonetheless, my current activities are centered on climate change and national security-related matters. My qualifications attest to my competence to make a decisive statement regarding climate change on our planet. It is evident that the Earth is experiencing a rapid escalation of extreme climatic and geodynamic events. There is a significant rise in the occurrence and magnitude of seismic, volcanic, hydrological, atmospheric, gravitational, and thermal anomalies. Furthermore, we have recently detected a number of alarming anomalies in all the layers of the Earth's system. There is an extraordinary displacement and destabilization of the Earth's core, a sporadic and chaotic acceleration of the planet's rotation, and a shift in its rotational axis. This scenario is compounded by a critical weakening and emergence of atypical anomalies of the magnetic field and a change in the composition of the upper layers of the atmosphere. These events have culminated in an extreme activation of magnetic foci and an accompanying increase in deep mantle earthquakes, a decrease in the thermal conductivity of the ocean. As a consequential result, our oceans have lost their ability to function as a compensatory and cooling mechanism. All these alarming factors indicate only one thing, to wit, our planet is on the verge of self-destruction, and humanity only has a few years remaining to avert this impending catastrophe. Right now, our planet is entering a cycle of climatic disasters that affects all the planets of our solar system. This entire solar system undergoes this cycle every 12,000 years, and every 24,000 years the cycle has its highest intensity. Similar to Earth, evidenced processes of change in the cores of other planets and geodynamic restructurings, as well as the increase of atmospheric anomalies, are occurring elsewhere within our solar system. This, in turn, would suggest that these cycles are caused by the influence of an external cosmic impact on all the planets of the solar system. This is the pattern of recurring climatic disasters that we reside in today. that could lead to the demise of humanity of our planet Earth. If we look at Mars, we realize that the same pattern of consequential behavior is merely an echoed reminder of the planet's doomed fate. My friends, this is the backdrop from which I am now speaking with you today. Until now, our planet has seemingly managed to overcome all the prior catastrophic cycles. Now, however, it is reasonable to expect that the Earth will not be capable of mitigating this current cycle. The primary reason we are facing the threat of annihilation is simply the anthropogenic factor. Specifically, we humans have waged war on the oceans. We have willfully interfered with the ocean's ability to undertake self-regulated thermal conductivity with the mass infestation of hydrocarbon-based pollutants into our waters. We humans have rendered our oceans utterly unable to transfer excess endogenous heat to the atmosphere, a requisite and integral function. Currently, in the depths of the Earth, an excess of destructive endogenous energy has accumulated, and this same accumulated energy has a need to evacuate the Earth's core in an expeditious manner. Such an evacuation of mass confined energy will bring about devastation on the Earth's surface and her atmosphere. Think of this occurrence as Mother Earth's final heart attack. The foregoing summation was arrived at in light of the following. For many years, I studied climate change. In turn, I was compelled to explore correlated climatic and natural disasters and the alarming progression and intensity of damage inflicted upon human life. Well recognizing from my personal experience that the correlated topic was not well received in either the political or government-funded academic research arenas, my interest in this highly sensitive subject was consequently intensified. And in due course, I realized that any comprehensive understanding of such a complex and sophisticated subject would likely require an intimate interface within not only the geophysical and astrophysical domains, but a variety of other specialized scientific domains as well. Such a realization quickly established the exceedingly broad depth of knowledge and resources required to gain a firm handle on the subject at hand. In brief, I required specialized expertise from qualified others to achieve competent authority in the subject of global climate change. While well-intended, the scientific community, often funded by conflicting interests, routinely finds itself divided on the paths traveled in furtherance of tackling challenging problems. Accordingly, the lens through which the subject at hand is often viewed frequently does not meet the needs of scientific interrogation. The problem of the scientific world, which is supposed to solve such issues, is that this academic world is divided. Everything is studied within the narrow confines of a specific discipline. Whereas the question of synchronous and anomalous destabilization of all the Earth's layers and the associated risk of imminent destruction of our planet can only be investigated with the use of a global interdisciplinary approach. The question is, how do we now achieve this? I did not have an answer to this question for a long time. In fact, until 2022 to be precise. It was in Washington, D.C. where the answer was finally received. In November 2022, I was invited as a speaker to an event held at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., just 2 blocks from the White House. The event was dedicated to geopolitical issues and was attended by accomplished U.S. and foreign governmental affairs professionals. It was at this event that I initially heard a momentous climate change report delivered by the members of the American chapter of the Creative Society Project, who were also invited speakers. Representatives of the Creative Society delivered a substantive presentation addressing one of the most pressing issues that has long been the subject of my research and concern for many years: the increase in the frequency and intensity of climate catastrophes on Earth, along with the possibilities for predicting and mitigating them as well. Although it was not a comprehensive report, but rather a succinct summary, I discerned its profound scientific value even during this presentation. This is because it contained unique scientific data in the fields of geology, climatology, and seismology, as well as a deep geophysical analysis of the dynamics of processes occurring within the Earth's core and their interrelation with cyclical processes in space. Unique indeed. I found the rhetoric very intriguing, and it closely aligned with my own understanding of the matter. Furthermore, I feel obliged to highlight that it was the first time that I encountered such an extensive scientific work that, among other aspects, addressed issues of supranational security, which is also within the scope of my specialization. The tremendous value of this report to me was that it addressed not only the issue of the progression in the deterioration of our planet's ecosystem and the intensification of climate catastrophes, but also the issue of the inevitability of these climate processes and the critical necessity of finding ways to counteract them. These findings captured my personal attention, and I began my collaboration with the Creative Society, continuing to study their works, publications, and the scientific knowledge they operate within. In April 2023, I even participated as an honorary guest speaker in an international forum organized by the Creative Society titled Global Crisis, There is a Way Out, which was translated into 150 languages. Rather impressive. I also carefully reviewed the extensive climate report in two parts, with the first part presented at the previous international forum, Global Crisis, Our Survival is in Unity, and the second part at the one where I delivered my presentation. This report was of a high scientific level, and its foundation rests upon a thorough and in-depth analysis of geophysical and astronomical processes, as well as patterns and changes occurring in the core of our planet, in the ocean, atmosphere, near Earth, and outer space. I found their interdisciplinary approach quite impressive, and I appreciated it. The deep processing of data contained in the report, the use of a wide range of scientific resources, and the logical coherence underpinning their arguments speak very well of a monumental international effort that unfolded during this creation. This is despite the fact that the report, to my regret, was presented not in scientific language, but rather in language adopted for understanding by the general public. The most important aspect of this report was the presentation of a mathematical model of climate change catastrophe progression meticulously prepared by an interdisciplinary team of scientists. According to this model, there is an extremely high probability that by the year 2036, our planet will lose its atmosphere due to the eruption of a colossal volume of magma in the vicinity of the Mariana Trench, followed by a powerful hydraulic impact in the Pacific Ocean. As a consequence, the planet will transform into a lifeless Mars-like entity. Likewise, I was intrigued by their assertion that within 7 years, life on the planet may become unbearable due to extremely rising temperatures of both the atmosphere and the oceans, increased seismic and volcanic activity, increased strength of hurricanes and typhoons on the planet. I examined and verified this mathematical model and independently constructed progression graphs based on publicly available data. In turn, I discovered that all the conclusions drawn by the scientists regarding the actual magnitude of the climate catastrophe, along with their calculations in the mathematical model they devised, are unequivocally accurate. Their findings are entirely rooted in credible, reliable, and verifiable open data sources. What struck me most profoundly was the fact that all the data they presented at the forum were exclusively sourced from open sources, and they were the first to collate, analyze, and draw conclusions from this information. I found it and still find it perplexing to ascertain just why no one had undertaken this task prior to them. The unyielding data unequivocally indicate that catastrophes on Earth are escalating in a geometric progression, and within a mere 13 years, our planet will cease to sustain life, a fate shared regrettably by humanity as well. This information raises deep concerns, and in fact, it is the very reason for my reaching out to you today. Before delving into the core of my address, I would like to emphasize a significant aspect, one that holds paramount importance and represents great value. I would like to draw your attention to the following question, specifically, considering the exceptionally precise and comprehensive portrayal of the planet's climatic landscape changes presented by the participants of the Creative Society, and taking into account the depth and unwavering accuracy of their analysis, surpassing the capabilities of any university or nation in the modern world, a natural query arises. From where do ordinary volunteers acquire such profound and all-encompassing knowledge that eludes contemporary scientific realms? I dove deeply into the study of this matter and discovered that among the ranks of the Creative Society Project, alongside numerous other organizations, is the international public movement Elantra, whose volunteers also actively participate in the project. I embarked on a thorough exploration of Elantra, immersing myself in the study of their activities and publications. I discovered that since as early as 2014, Elantra has been raising the question of inexorable escalation of climate catastrophes and their cyclical nature. However, the Creative Society as an official project, as far as I know, was initiated only in 2019. It becomes evident to me that the efforts of the Elantra volunteers have served as the wellspring of the fundamental scientific underpinnings for the Creative Society project. Thus, the scientific knowledge curated by Elantra finds its continuation and public dissemination within the framework of the Creative Society project. Furthermore, I have ample grounds to believe that the scientific information made accessible to the public through the project is merely the tip of the iceberg compared to the breadth and knowledge possessed by the representatives of the Elantra movement. Naturally, my curiosity has been piqued as to the origins of this knowledge within Elantra. Thoroughly investigating this matter, I discovered that well before the official registration of this international movement, an unofficial and extensive interdisciplinary community of scholars had actively engaged for decades. This community consisted of professionals spanning diverse specializations: physicists, geophysicists, geologists, historians, archaeologists, neurophysicists, even political scientists, religious scholars, psychologists, psychiatrists, and experts from a myriad of scientific disciplines. These scholars were dispersed across various scientific institutions and laboratories in different countries around the entire globe. What united them was a genuine thirst for knowledge, yet they often lacked the opportunity to delve into their many crucial facets, their scientific fields, due to censorship and pressures from the academic community. Hence, they embarked on an independent venture, pooling their multidisciplinary expertise to explore our history, our planet, and our society as a whole. Unconstrained by limitations, they readily incorporated theories into their work that had been prohibited or overlooked by the scientific community. Representatives of the international community of scholars engaged in an exploration of various aspects of nature and the cosmos, conducting research across a broad spectrum of scientific disciplines. For instance, they explored differing realms of science such as particle physics, quantum physics, nuclear physics, astrophysics, climatology, paleoclimatology, archaeology, geology, geophysics, glaciology, as well as gerontology, biophysics, cytology, and even history, linguistics, religious studies, and psychophysiology, and numerous other scientific domains. During their research, this group of scientists has unveiled profound and irreversible shifts occurring on Earth, intricately linked to the impact of cyclical cosmic phenomena. Notably, they have identified a specific form of cosmic radiation, unexplored by contemporary science, yet exerting its influence on Earth's core every 12,000 years. They also discovered that this leads to the disruption of the geological and climatic equilibrium of the planet. This radiation destabilizes Earth's core, resulting in an escalation in both the frequency and magnitude of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, hurricanes, floods, droughts, and other catastrophic events. They have forecasted that in the near future, these cataclysms will reach a magnitude that will lead to the widespread loss of human lives, the devastation of infrastructure, and the potential collapse of human civilization as a whole. Naturally, the scientists within this community realized that they couldn't remain silent about this truth, and that it was necessary to sound the alarm so that people would become informed about it. However, they understood well that they couldn't openly reveal themselves and their research. Doing so would not only be dangerous for their lives and careers, but more importantly, they recognized that the publicity opposing the official scientific narrative would result in losing their jobs, cutting off their access to laboratories and equipment crucial for further studying the global threat that they had uncovered. Understanding how the system operates from within, they were also aware that disclosing the truth would expose them to persecution and threats from forces vested in maintaining the status quo and keeping the truth hidden from the public. Therefore, these scientists decided to proceed step by step. They first established an organization called Lagoda, which served as a platform for information exchange and coordination of actions. They also decided to find a way to bring their knowledge to the public with the help of people who cared. And subsequently, they organized an international public movement called ALLATRA, named after a book of the same title. Thus, this international group of scientists found support among ordinary people from different countries and professions who were also interested in scientific exploration and saving the planet. ALLATRA became a unifying platform for both scientists and people of different professions and specialties around the entire world. Now scientists could study real science without leaving their positions and without following instructions from above. And people in turn began to actively disseminate information about climate change and cataclysms through the internet, social networks, videos, books, lectures, and other forms of education. Likewise, they conducted practical experiments and observations, confirming the hypotheses put forward by these scientists. In their works, the scientists from ALLATRA used methods of various scientific disciplines: linguistics, archaeology, astronomy, geology, paleoclimatology, and others. They compared a multitude of information sources and materials in various languages from around the world, identifying common patterns and trends. They critically evaluated existing theories and proposed alternative working hypotheses. They directed their expertise, experience, and knowledge to the benefit of all humanity. I must admit I am deeply impressed by such meticulous effort. In my own scientific pursuits, no matter the field I've been involved with, I have always endeavored to dive right into the essence of every discipline, whether it's particle physics or the patterns of volcano processes. And similarly, ALLATRA follows the same approach. Likewise, I would like to highlight the unique approach of ALLATRA scientists to the study of religion. They are truly exceptional in their critical analysis of religion from a scientific standpoint. Religion is primarily seen as history. This is something that we as scientists have generally overlooked or underestimated. And it's a mistake. ALLATRA delves into various aspects of religion: doctrinal, social, psychological, as well as the history, philosophy, symbolism, and ethics of different world religions. They investigate manipulations and distortions that have occurred within religions due to the influence of politics, economics, and personal agendas. And all of this is thoroughly studied to understand why we, humanity, do not live in a united, safe, and peaceful world as was bequeathed to us by those whom religion called prophets. And who were the prophets? They were the wisest individuals who introduced the foundations of ethical and moral behavior, the guiding values of a united, safe, and peaceful society. They also warned about the cyclical nature of climatic cataclysms and their consequences. Essentially, this is what ALLATRA talks about. But the paradox is that most people living in the world, fortunately, are not capable of comprehending the full depth of the scientific information presented and realized by ALLATRA. I would even go further and say that only a few can comprehend the true scientific treasure that has been lying in front of us for so many years. Some find it easier to label it as religion, but there is no religion in ALLATRA. There is science and truth. Those who call ALLATRA a religion are either poorly educated or biased. They do not see the truth that is right in front of them. They are incapable of understanding the full importance and value of ALLATRA for all humanity. In reality, ALLATRA is science. It is an encyclopedia of knowledge. It is the most fundamental and brilliant organization that has united all sciences at an interdisciplinary level for a common goal: preserving the life of all humanity. I fully understand why ALLATRA is currently experiencing pressure and persecution from some supranational organization that controls this world and operates in the shadows. Naturally, I'm aware that for millennia, an ancient organization has existed that governs this world, the so-called architects of this world. Elantra, with its fundamental research, exposes their schemes and plans and therefore has become a target of their attacks and opposition as it creates inconvenience in their well-established system of world governance. But this is not the subject of today's conversation. I move on to the most crucial point of my report, the aspect of Elantra's knowledge that holds the greatest interest today, not only for me, but for all of humanity, is Elantra's understanding of climate change and the catastrophic progression of cataclysms. Alongside this, it's the knowledge of how to overcome this truly unprecedented challenge in human history. This knowledge is founded on a deep comprehension of the laws governing the Earth and outer space, enabling the prediction and projection of future climate change scenarios and the consequences of these changes for life on the planet. This knowledge offers a real solution for humanity's survival amidst the global climate threat. We cannot ignore or reject this knowledge if we want to preserve our planet or our futures. I will now revisit what I have discovered about Elantra, about the activities of that very scientific international community that has long remained concealed from public attention, and more importantly, operated in secret, evading the all-seeing eye of the architects of this world. This group comprised a large number of scientists who have been engaged in interdisciplinary research on climate and geodynamic changes on the planet as early as 1996. It was precisely then that the initial substantial changes in the Earth's core occurred, detected by alterations in the magnetic field and the geophysical parameters of the planet. Representatives of this group of scientists organized expeditions, obtained ice cores, and conducted field, satellite, and laboratory research. They examined spectral gravimetry data, seismic tomography data, geochronology, and the chemical composition of ice. They analyzed the isotopic composition of water, the concentration of volcanic gases, surface and ocean floor temperatures, seismic activity, solar activity, and other factors influencing the climate. They carried out geodynamic modeling. They have analyzed not only geological and paleoclimatic records, but also what I consider equally significant, the data from history, archaeology, mythology, and religion. They put together the entire picture of our universe like puzzles, taking into account history and the data they obtained through empirical science. The researchers from Elantra have manifested a great profundity of scientific knowledge and discoveries, transcending our current comprehension. In the ensuing discourse, I will present only some evidence of their advanced capabilities. I will present one example. A decade ago, they disclosed their discovery that a flow of endogenous neutrinos from the Earth's core heralds forthcoming seismic occurrences. This revelation was based on empirical inquiry conducted through the deployment of portable neutrino detection devices developed by the researchers themselves. Remarkably, these portable detectors could be carried by a single person, which is a striking difference compared to huge modern neutrino observatories, which require extensive buildings and laboratories to function. Only in recent times has our contemporary science confirmed that the surge of neutrino flux from the Earth's depths has indeed augmented within specific localized regions, acting as a harbinger for impending earthquakes. The scientists of Elantra outpaced all scientific communities in the world by decades. They reached the same conclusions only years after they had already attained them long before us. Their headway in scientific discoveries has positioned them considerably ahead of our own scholarly pursuits. Additionally, 10 years ago, the scientists of Elantra alerted us that the number of climate refugees would increase and that this issue demands urgent attention. They warned of massive unregulated climate migration. Back then, no one listened to them, and now this topic is discussed in all media outlets. But at that time, we lacked the awareness of the urgency of this problem. And naturally, the warnings of Elantra were not heeded. But now is the time when we are entering the most perilous period for life on the planet. We no longer have the right to ignore true knowledge. As I've indicated earlier, it is precisely due to the interdisciplinary and unbiased approach embraced by the scientists at Elantra that the cause of anomalous changes in the Earth's core and the increase of catastrophes in the current time has been identified. This cause is the cyclical nature of climate catastrophes, which occur on our planet every 12,000 years, with even greater intensity every 24,000 years. They metaphorically named the cyclic phenomena the climate Cerberus after the ruthless creature from ancient Greek mythology. According to existing estimations, we will fully enter the cycle in the year 2024. But in fact, we already witness today that the world is beginning to collapse. And already now the increase of intensity and frequency of cataclysms is so rapid as it never happened before in past cycles. For instance, consider what has occurred in China in just the month of July 2023. According to data from China's Ministry of Emergency Management, 16 million people across 27 provinces, autonomous regions, and municipalities have been affected by floods, landslides, droughts, and tornadoes. Among them, 703,000 individuals were actually evacuated. Moreover, since the beginning of August, 133,000 people in Beijing have been affected by flooding. This marks the most significant flood in China in the past 140 years. On August 6th, a magnitude 5.5 earthquake struck, causing the collapse of 126 houses. In a matter of days, China has suffered enormous losses, and they continue to grow by billions of dollars. China ranks as the world's second largest economy in terms of GDP and is a leader in innovation and technology. However, China's geographical location renders it vulnerable to various natural disasters, such as floods, droughts, earthquakes, and tsunamis. With a high degree of accuracy, it can be asserted that due to the intensification of the growth and frequency of climate catastrophes, China is on the brink of an economic crisis that could have unpredictable consequences for the global community. Global trade and production will endure significant hardships if the Chinese economy and industry collapse. Humanitarian disasters related to the mass population migrations, epidemics, and famine are also possible. It is crucial to emphasize that Elantra, long before today, warned that China, much like the colossus with feet of clay, would be devastated in the near future due to climate catastrophes. They also warned that only 2 small habitable areas would remain in the whole of China. Paradoxically, these areas currently lack any substantial infrastructure or industry. Moreover, these regions are so small that they could barely accommodate even a fraction of the population, let alone industrial capacities. Furthermore, the Middle East, especially the United Arab Emirates, is one of the regions where the Elantra scientists projected a rapid escalation in the frequency and intensity of climate disasters. The Elantra scientists not only provided an accurate forecast of intensifying disasters in this particular region, but also cautioned that the entire United Arab Emirates territory would soon become a deserted desert. The current observations confirm their predictions as the disasters in this region increase every year, and this is just the beginning. The Elantra scientists have forecasted the dynamics of climate catastrophes, which are already intensifying across the globe and wrecking our planet and our lives. However, what they predict for the immediate future is even more alarming. I want to emphasize that my intention is not to scare you, but to inform you of the reality that I have personally witnessed. I have examined the data, scientific research, and forecasts from Elantra, and I have been impressed by their depth and relevance. Consider this. While the scientific community is busy attempting to understand quantum mechanics, a field that still eludes our complete grasp, the Alatra scientists have long been exploring questions beyond the quantum limit, matters that we must study urgently to address the impact of our cosmic external radiation on our planet's core. To achieve this, we need to mobilize all our resources and integrate all our capabilities. As humans, we failed to heed Alatra's warnings 10 years ago when we actually had ample time. It will be a fatal mistake for humankind if we ignore them now. The current state of the global economy and climate demands immediate and coordinated action from all interested parties. What strategies should be employed to overcome the crisis associated with economic decline and climate change? Is there truly a need to construct shelter cities with vertical farms to eke out a few more years of survival, only to perish eventually? Or is the imperative to tackle the problem on a global scale? Some scientists and policymakers argue against disseminating information about the severity of the situation to avoid causing panic and destabilizing society. However, such an approach can be dangerous, and it hinders the search for practical solutions to this problem. It's akin to a situation where a patient has a disease and refuses to go to the doctor, hoping for self-healing. In such cases, the risk of the patient's death significantly increases. Therefore, an open and objective dialogue among all interested parties is essential to choose the optimal strategy for saving humanity from a global catastrophe. However, what has the global community been preoccupied with regarding addressing climate issues? We're still collecting funds to combat the rise in CO2 concentrations, which is in fact a compensatory mechanism during the 12,000-year cycle of catastrophes. It's the result of ocean warming that leads to CO2 emissions. The subsequent natural step in compensating for the heat rise within the planet is the activation of volcanoes. This is a natural process. Why? Because our planet will increase CO2 concentration through all possible means. Our planet now needs an increase in CO2, not a reduction. The growth of CO2 concentration occurs every time during the cycle, as unbiased studies of ice cores show, and the scientists of Alatra have been openly spoken about this for some time. How does this compensatory mechanism work? Ocean evaporation initially saturates the atmosphere with water molecules, followed by ocean emissions of suspended CO2, creating a protective shield against external radiation in the middle layers of the atmosphere and providing a chance for life to persist on the planet. A pattern has emerged through long-term observations of Earth's geological activity, precisely during the 12,000-year and 24,000-year cycles. There's an increase in the number and strength of various types of volcanic eruptions, including stratovolcanoes. This is part of the planet's natural self-regulation mechanism aimed at increasing atmospheric CO2 levels for protection. The ocean also played a crucial compensatory role in the past. It transferred endogenous heat from the Earth's depths into the atmosphere, thereby cooling the magma. The ocean also contributed to producing an ample amount of oxygen in the lower layers of the atmosphere, creating conditions for life. Simultaneously, volcanoes, by emitting CO2 into the upper layers of the atmosphere, formed a shield effect that protected the Earth from cosmic radiation. However, through our actions as humans, by polluting the ocean with plastics and hydrocarbons, we disrupted its compensatory mechanism, causing the ocean to cease its primary function of cooling magma. This is indeed alarming, as in previous cycles, it was the ocean that preserved life on the planet during cyclical catastrophes. Yet we've deprived ourselves of this protection, thereby exacerbating the already highly intense 24,000-year cycle of disasters even further. Hence today we face the risk of repeating the fate of Mars, which also lost its ocean and atmosphere due to intense cosmic irradiation. Many years ago, Alatra scientists tried to convey all of this to us, raising the issue of the catastrophic state of the ocean and its pivotal role in the future of our planet, when we did not yet possess a clear vision and full awareness of the problem. The scientists at Alatra were not heard because, in our opinion, everything seemed fine with the ocean. It was, but now we're witnessing an entirely different situation. Currently, the upper layers of the ocean have accumulated significant energy, which is already being discussed in open scientific sources. However, they remain silent about what the Alatra scientists have been saying for a long time, that the ocean accumulates far more energy in the lower levels, which has a destructive impact on our atmosphere. And we are seeing the consequences of that today. The stored energy in the ocean is extremely dangerous. We know that if energy accumulates somewhere, it will be released naturally. It would be a catastrophe for us if we don't start taking action right this moment. Humanity owes to the Alatra for still having the opportunity to rally our collective efforts to solve this most crucial task. We can still save our planet. However, if we delay our actions, we might very well fail to avoid the catastrophe coming upon us. Today, our planet is facing an unprecedented catastrophe. This situation would seem hopeless if not for one crucial and valuable factor, Alatra. Representatives of Alatra began publicly warning us about this climate danger over a decade ago, about a threat that looms over the planet and all over humanity. And they offered a real solution, a genuine solution. But did we listen to them? No. Did the scientific community listen to them? No. We as scientists consider ourselves too clever to listen to someone else. I was like that too. I was accustomed to trusting only my own data, my own calculations, and my own proofs. And now, I myself meticulously examined all the data provided by Alatra, verified the mathematical model that predicts the geometric progression in the growth of climate disasters, and I confirmed that, unfortunately, it is accurate. I, Egon Cholakian, as someone who was involved in developing the methodology for analyzing the reliability of information used by the CIA and other intelligence agencies today, meticulously examined this mathematical model. I possess sufficient professional experience and competence to confirm the fact that it is truthful, accurate, and reflects the actual dynamics and the trend. Yes, it's not a reassuring trend, but that doesn't make it any less real. Any scientist can verify this independently by simply conducting their calculations using open data. This mathematical model is absolutely real, just as real as the fact that modern humanity has less than 10 years to take swift and vigorous action for its own survival. It might seem to you that I have mentioned Alatra too frequently, but it's only because you might not fully realize the value and significance of their contributions to our future. If only we had listened sooner to what representatives of Alatra were telling us, today we would have had more chances and more opportunities to tackle this global problem and already prevent numerous climate disasters that unfortunately have irreversibly claimed and will continue to claim countless lives. We could have averted the loss of so many people's lives if we had heeded Alatra's message, but we did not. Yes, I understand well that the knowledge from Alatra is so extensive and profound that only a few well-educated individuals can fully comprehend it. But those who can understand that we are responsible for conveying this value to others. I've grasped its significance, which is why I'm here speaking to you about the importance of Alatra's knowledge. Perhaps I wouldn't have seen this if I hadn't encountered representatives of the Creative Society in Washington, D.C. At that time, I was struck by how openly courageous and with clear mindfulness they discussed the most relevant and intricate problems of our time. I realized then that these courageous individuals know what they're doing and know why they're doing it. And now I want to tell you that we all owe Alatra, at the very least, for giving us some chance of survival. Alatra granted us that chance 10 years ago when it first spoke about the imperative of global human unification and decisive actions to stabilize the climate. But we didn't hear them. We didn't want to listen to them. We continued to live as before, ignoring reality. We lost 10 years that could have been utilized to change the world for the better. 10 years that could have been used to prevent catastrophe. 10 years that could have been spent building a new society and saving the planet. But we chose not to do so. The science community no longer has time to argue, doubt, or procrastinate. We no longer have time to write articles for the sake of citations, secure grants, earn titles, money, or influence. We no longer have time to wait for approval, permission, or support. We only have time to act now and to act all together. Therefore, I want to draw your attention to a very pressing issue that demands immediate mobilization of all the intellectual resources of humanity and collective actions. Our planet is under the influence of a severe threatening factor, a cyclical external cosmic impact that destabilizes the core of our planet. This information was first presented to us by ALLATRA over a decade ago and is now confirmed by similar activity on other planets in the solar system. They spoke about this 10 years ago, and only recently have we observed these changes on other planets. If we choose to ignore this knowledge, the world is literally doomed. To save our planet, life on it, and our future, I, Egon Cholakian, literally address everyone. We urgently need to establish a unified international scientific center, essentially an international interdisciplinary alliance of the world's best scientists who will work on solving this problem. We need a fruitful collaboration of specialists from various fields of science, such as particle physics, astrophysics, neutrino astrophysics, planetary science, climatology, atmospheric physics, oceanography, ecology, paleoclimatology, geophysics, seismology, volcanology, geology, hydrogeology, glaciology, cryology, atmospheric chemistry, magnetostratigraphy, earth physics, geodynamics, tectonics, geomechanics, and much, much more. We need the brightest minds of this world capable of thinking unconventionally and innovatively. We need people who are ready to collaborate and to act in the interest of all humanity. For the successful and effective operation of the Unified International Scientific Center, it is critically important to ensure optimal conditions for its functioning. It is of utmost importance to provide the scientific team unrestricted access to all scientific resources and unhindered access to all observation platforms, regardless of their purpose and nature. That includes, but is not limited to, satellite systems, telescopes, seismographs, laboratories, and much, much more. Such requirements are linked to the fact that the international team of scientists will need to cover the entire spectrum of research, from studying the electromagnetic field in near-Earth space to observing seismic activity and processes occurring in the Earth's core. A crucial addition to this will be ensuring full access to existing cutting-edge technologies, including but not limited to institutions such as CERN, NASA, Roscosmos, the Chinese National Space Administration, and all the others. To efficiently achieve the goals and tasks set before the Unified International Research Center, unlimited funding for scientific activities is an absolute necessity, without any control or intervention in the research process by politicians or corporations. It is utterly imperative to ensure absolute autonomy in the scientific research activities, during which we, as scientists, take complete responsibility for the outcomes attained. Due to the extensive research and significant experience accumulated by the scientific team of ALLATRA, our scientific investigations will not begin from a mere blank slate, but from a substantial starting point based on the knowledge and expertise of ALLATRA scientists. The new approach to physics they proposed, which goes beyond the realm of quantum mechanics, opens necessary horizons for our entire research. The key solution to the challenges before us lies at the beyond quantum level. I want to emphasize that I fully comprehend the importance of this information and our responsibility for its purposeful use solely for the benefit of society. We cannot allow our scientific achievements to fall into the wrong hands and to be used for destructive purposes. Hence, we must diligently observe strict confidentiality during our activities and ensure proper protection against unauthorized access to our research. Confidentiality is quite literally crucial to ensuring that any of our accomplishments are used only for the salvation of humanity and the further improvement of every individual's life on this planet, rather than for the development and creation of new forms of weaponry directed against humanity. Thanks to ALLATRA, we now have a chance to halt the global climate cataclysms. We have the opportunity to use this chance to survive as humanity. The scientific knowledge this community possesses has tremendous potential to significantly accelerate the realization of the goals before us today, as we face challenges that go beyond the quantum level and demand the highest level of knowledge and skills from us. Enormous work lies ahead of us, with many complex tasks to tackle. Our work won't be easy or fast. We will encounter numerous difficulties, obstacles, and risk. Nonetheless, we must be ready for this and not give up. We must be brave and persistent. We must stand together in unity. We must be the scientists who save the world. The prompt creation of a unified international research center and its immediate launch into active operation is crucial for successfully accomplishing our vital task. I emphasize that any delay in coordinating and forming a unified scientific group critically reduces the likelihood of achieving this necessary result. I call upon all interested parties to act promptly and effectively to ensure the best conditions for our collaborative research aimed at saving all of humanity. Dear colleagues, friends, today I, Egon Cholakian, address you with the most important and urgent call in the history of humanity. I want to reach out to all scientists of the world, those who can distinguish truth from falsehood, those who literally understand what is happening to our planet, those who know about the real threat of climate collapse, yet also see the prospects for the future of humanity. I address those who have dedicated their lives to science and practice, and those unafraid to seek the truth. I implore you to unite for the sake of saving the future of all of humanity, your lives and the lives of your children and grandchildren. The changes occurring within the core of our planet are an undeniable fact. The absence of our collective intervention will inevitably lead humanity to its demise. Today, the only ones with the capability to propose a viable solution to this catastrophic situation are the scientists. The correct and only solution to this problem depends on talented, united scientists endowed with unlimited scientific and financial resources. We must create a unified scientific community as soon as possible, free from the influence of political ambitions and economic interest. We need to act together as a united force, a united mind, and a united heart. We cannot delegate the responsibility for solving this crucial issue to politicians who initiate societal divisions and confrontations. We cannot afford to waste precious time and resources on futile armament and endless military conflicts and disagreements. We cannot ignore the climate events unfolding and gaining strength on our planet. If we ignore them today and continue to destroy our planet's ecosystem in pursuit of power and material wealth, we and all living beings on Earth will inevitably face destruction. I invite all scientists who care about the fate of humanity to join in creating a unified international scientific center. Its purpose will be to engage in scientific research and address the global climate threat. Soon you will be able to find all the necessary information about this project on my website, along with a form to submit your resume and other documentation. I await your response if you genuinely care about the future of humanity. We urgently need to establish a unified center for scientific research that will work on resolving the most complex and pressing issue of our time. I also want to address the leaders of all nations. In the name of science and humanity, I, Egon Cholakian, appeal to you, the leaders of the world's nations, with an urgent call. Bury the hatchets of war and come to the negotiation table. It's time to start thinking about a unified global economy and a consolidated, united world. This is not just an expression of my views, it is an absolute necessity to ensure the survival of our planet. I also recommend that you find the courage to pay close attention to the model of the creative society, which offers enormous prospects for the development and prosperity for both society as a whole and for each individual. However, that's the future. In the present period, however, we stand on the brink of a global catastrophe that could lead Earth to repeat the fate of Mars. I emphasize that these are not baseless statements. This is a fact. It's imperative for you today to comprehend the magnitude of the work scientists must undertake to avert this scenario. Scientists will require all available resources, including those currently directed towards wars, arms races, and those siphoned off by corruption. Achieving a task of this scale requires ensuring freedom of action for scientists and maintaining the confidentiality of the research process. We need your support. As soon as possible, we need to establish an interdisciplinary, multi-vector mechanism to save our planet, with the involvement of the best scientists from different countries around the world. It's essential to act promptly and cohesively. We have a maximum of 10 years to resolve this issue. Therefore, I hope that today my message will also be heard not only by heads of state, but also by all the journalists, employees of foreign ministries, and intelligence services. We should have started forming a united international scientific research center 10 years ago at least, when ALLATRA first raised the alarm about the global climate threat. Back then, we didn't respond to their warning. I genuinely hope that today we will have the wisdom and prudence to listen and reconsider many aspects of the modern world order for the sake of humanity's survival. We are entering a period of exponential growth in climate catastrophes, making the question of establishing a unified international rescue service urgent and essential. At present, the principle of a unified economic model also demands deep analysis and swift development. Stop inciting discord and disputes. Now is the time to unite the global community within a coherent economic system. The path to this unity now depends on you, and the ways to achieve this goal are also within your grasp. The time has come to open borders for unrestricted movement of people. Climate migration is a natural process that will only increase in the coming years, and creating the necessary accommodations for it is crucial. It's time to roll up our sleeves and begin working to save humanity rather than focusing on our pockets and defending influential groups' interests. Now is the time for each individual to take responsibility. We can find a way out of this fatal climate collapse. As a scientist, I understand this. But the necessary conditions must be created for it to happen. Therefore, I appeal to world leaders with a plea to create all the conditions for the formation of a unified international scientific research center. This will allow exceptional scientists from all over the world to unite their efforts and prevent the destruction of the planet and all of humanity. We will work under the conditions of complete confidentiality as the path we embark on goes beyond even quantum physics. It is much more profound. Thanks to the knowledge provided by ALLATRA, we understand where to go next in our research. I am addressing you not as presidents, but as human beings. People who want to live and give life to their descendants. People who want to see a thriving Earth, not a lifeless red desert. People who want to be creators, not destroyers. People who want to be a part of history, not its end. I implore you, heed my words and create the conditions for the formation of a unified international scientific research center. This is our last chance to save the world. We need to act swiftly and not stretch decisions over years and months. Those who fail to grasp the essence of my message will shortly do so once the climate Cerberus appears on the doorstep of their house. Those who do not support what I am saying will also soon realize their mistake. However, they, along with their loved ones, will bear the consequences of this fatal mistake. If we lose these upcoming years, we'll lose the future of our planet, which means the life of each and every one of us. I also want to address all people, every person in the world. Today, I, Egon Cholakian, address you not as representatives of different nations, religions, or political forces, but as a united humanity, as fellow citizens living on one unique and vulnerable planet. I urge you to support the creation of a unified international scientific research center and to support the leaders of your countries in endorsing this international initiative. This is not just a project, it is our shared responsibility and our chances for survival. We cannot afford to waste time on conflicts, disputes, and divisions. We cannot afford to ignore facts, evidence, and warnings. We cannot afford to be indifferent to the fate of humanity and to each one of us. We must change the world, and for that, as a society, we need to mature in the shortest time possible. It's now time for collaboration, not competition. Our society is subjected to the influence of artificially created manipulations that divide us and fuel hatred amongst us. This is done to serve the selfish interests of certain groups or individuals. But we must not succumb to these manipulations. We are facing a global danger that threatens all humanity. If our neighbor who we may hate dies, it won't change anything because we will die along with them. So why should we hate? No, there's no time for that now. Therefore, I simply ask you, forget about past conflicts. Start anew. Support those who are willing to work for the common good. Support presidents who endorse creating a united and unified international scientific research center. Support scientists worldwide in their united effort to save our world. Now is a decisive moment in the life of our planet and all of humanity. Let's do everything in our power to preserve this world and secure our future. Thank you very much. May God and science help us. My name is Egon Cholakian. In view of the exceedingly alarming situation, the unprecedented progression of destructive climate catastrophes on our planet, I urgently wish to appeal to the three global leaders upon whom, in my estimation, the future of all humanity depends. I address myself to the President of the United States of America, Mr. Joe Biden, the Chairman of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Xi Jinping, and the President of the Russian Federation, Mr. Vladimir Putin. I address you, the three prominent leaders of our time, publicly and openly, for your voices are pivotal to shaping the current global agenda. If you can hear and comprehend the magnitude of the climate peril confronting humankind today, the entire international community will become aware of this problem, thereby affording us a chance to overcome this impending catastrophe. This is genuinely a critical and momentous juncture in our history. The fate of every inhabitant of Earth now hinges on your political will. I am compelled to make this urgent statement in my role as a representative of the world of science, as a multidisciplinary scholar reflecting top-tiered academic and laboratory affiliations, who likewise enjoyed intimate working relationships with 4 U.S. presidents. For many years, I concerned myself with the impact of climate change upon national security. Distinguished leaders of the world, Mr. Biden, Mr. Xi Jinping, and Mr. Putin, today I implore you to urgently redirect your utmost attention to the deadly climate threat that our planet and all humankind are now confronting at this very moment. Let me be very clear. I am not referring to greenhouse gases or CO2 emissions. I am addressing a far more severe factor causing anomalous changes in all layers of the Earth. This factor remains inadequately explored and necessitates immediate exhaustive investigation by the scientific community. Let me elucidate the key aspects of the issue to foster a deeper understanding. The cause behind the escalating climate changes today is an external cosmic impact destabilizing the Earth's core. This is exacerbated by the ocean's loss of thermal conductivity function, leading to its inability to cool the magma. Consequently, endogenous energy accumulates within the Earth's depths. Take a look at two critical parameters. The first chart shows trends in the amount of heat stored in the world's oceans. And the second chart shows annual divergence of global ocean surface temperature. In both cases, there is a definite upward trend visible in the data. These disruptions in the balance of the planet's operation result in a rapid increase in both the number and intensity of extreme atmospheric events, including hurricanes, typhoons, tornadoes, and anomalous precipitation, leading to floods. This perturbation also extends to geodynamic catastrophes, such as earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, etc. Furthermore, according to a mathematical model devised by the international scientific group ALLATRA, the escalation of climate catastrophes occurs in a geometric progression from which it ensues that in just 7 years, as a consequence of the cataclysms on Earth, there will be hardly any habitable place remaining. I have verified their calculations in this mathematical model and have every reason to assert its accuracy and precision. I wish to underscore that I have been involved in developing methodologies for analyzing the veracity of information which have been employed by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, CIA, and other U.S. and foreign intelligence agencies. Therefore, I possess a level of competency sufficient to assert that the progression of increasing strength and frequency of cataclysms proposed by ALLATRA is, in fact, accurate. It indicates the most perilous situation, the rapid intensification of the power of cataclysms in the coming years, and an impending climatic collapse. To corroborate this inference, scientists are encouraged to conduct their own elementary calculation right now. Any doubts will be dispelled within observing the progression of alterations in the ocean for the past 3 years. This includes scrutinizing such criterion as alterations in the ocean's chemical composition, temperature regime, and gas exchange. These four reference factors speak for themselves. If a collective analysis were undertaken, it would be realistic to deduce that we are on the brink of collapse, and the future of humanity hinges on the decisions of these three individuals. The realization of climate anomalies and progressions that I have referenced signify that in the immediate future, we will inevitably face historical magnitudes of devastation from climate disasters, incurring immeasurable material and financial losses. We will witness an unprecedented surge in the number of climate refugees, compounded by the loss of a massive number of human lives. On 13 August 2023, I made a compelling call to all of humanity, the scientific community, the world leaders to support the establishment of a unified international scientific research center. This center would facilitate a rigorous and comprehensive investigation of the multifaceted aspects of climate change and the development of effective and sustainable solutions. I initiated this concept with the sole aim of bringing together leading experts in scientific interdisciplinary research and providing them with optimal conditions for productive work. This entails access to all necessary scientific resources and unlimited funding, which can only be achieved with the endorsement and uniform cooperation of the states. In the short span of time since my initial appeal, just a few days back, I have received an overwhelming response from my colleagues, experienced scientists from across the entire globe, who concur with my apprehensions about the global climate predicament and deem it imperative to act in a manner commensurate with the urgency associated with an impending cataclysmic event. Numerous appeals to align with my movement have been received through my dedicated website, and I very much welcome hearing from all others internationally in furtherance of bringing about the establishment of an international team of mixed discipline scientists prepared to tackle this enormous challenge. A good number of scientists have already verified the mathematical model of the catastrophe progression mentioned above and reached the same dire conclusions as I have. The model is entirely accurate. This leads me to ardently believe that we are facing an exceedingly tragic future if we do not take action now. Furthermore, many scientists from a variety of national backgrounds wholeheartedly support the scientific research of ALLATRA and confirm the cyclical nature of the ongoing catastrophes. I have received support from many of my acquaintances and colleagues for the establishment of a unified international scientific research center and their readiness to cooperate within its organizational framework. For those of you possibly entertaining serious involvement with our scientific project, please be aware that I am already receiving an exceedingly extraordinary number of positive inquiries from virtually every part of this world. The movement has gained traction with much public interest. I am pleased that a considerable number of intelligent and responsible individuals and qualified scientists are joining in. In turn, this enhances our prospects for a favorable outcome. The stark reality is that the world is on the brink of a catastrophe. We have no chance of averting this impending catastrophic disaster if we elect to procrastinate any longer. The scientific community is ready to take action immediately, but a political declaration of will is imperative to bring about a full and requisite transition. Therefore, today I am compelled to make this open public appeal. Distinguished leaders, Mr. Biden, Mr. Xi Jinping, and Mr. Putin, I am addressing you openly and publicly and not behind the scene, nor am I requesting a personal meeting with either of you. There is simply no more time for such courtesies. The situation is dire. This is a matter of supernatural security and a matter which in all respects affects every country and every individual citizen. This is an issue which resides exclusively in your collective hands, just the three of you. I acknowledge that to grasp the full gravity of my expressed concerns, one should first possess a comprehensive physical science background, domains not typically required of or by world leaders. Accordingly, the insight I possess should warrant your immediate attention. Thus, I am relying on the three of you gentlemen as leaders gifted with the unique political wisdom, strategic thinking, foresight, and extensive managerial experience to act upon this extremely urgent matter. In this pivotal moment for our entire civilization, your political determination is the instrument for the survival of all humanity. In furtherance of confronting this colossal challenge to humanity and to safeguard our future and the future of our descendants, it is necessary to take decisive, concrete action, actions which fall squarely in the purview of your authority. Front and center, it is necessary to establish a unified international scientific center to bring together the finest scientific minds from around the world to address the issue of climate collapse. For effective operation, this center must be equipped with access to all necessary equipment, satellites, observatories, and research stations across the entire globe. It is crucial to emphasize that such an endeavor will demand extraordinary, unlimited funding, as solving a task of this magnitude will require the dedicated commitments from all laboratories, research centers, colliders, and the like that exist today. We will need to continuously collect and analyze data from practically every corner of the Earth, from all its layers, ranging from the core to its near space environment. Only through such means can we establish control over the processes currently driving us toward destruction and terminate them. Secondly, It is imperative that we immediately cease all wars, military conflicts, disagreements, and geopolitical disputes. It is crucial to halt the destruction and fragmentation of the world. We all face a common enemy today that threatens all countries, the climate. We need to consolidate our resources. I appeal to you, distinguished leaders of three influential nations, Mr. Biden, Mr. Xi Jinping, and Mr. Putin. I implore each of you to hear my plea. Reach out your hands to each other and most urgently convene at one table. Only in your capacity as a world leader is it possible to set the wheels in motion. We need you sitting at one table. I urgently request you to initiate an international meeting of all state leaders on any platform you would judge suitable, be it the UN or any other venue, any date and any time. However, we cannot afford to delay. Each day and month lost reduces our chances of survival, and the number of deaths is correspondingly increasing. I and my colleagues from around the world are prepared to furnish you with comprehensive information about the current predicament with the climate so that you can witness with your own eyes what is occurring on our planet and what awaits us in the near future. 2 hours will suffice for us to apprise you of how critical the current situation is. My colleague scientists concur on the high exigency of rapidly organizing a summit of the leaders of the countries. Our survival hinges on the three of you gentlemen. The sooner you heed my plea, the sooner other leaders from around the entire world will convene at one table. In turn, the chances for the survival of humankind will be greatly enhanced. Right now, we are on a collision course with disaster. Mr. Biden, Mr. Xi Jinping, Mr. Putin, I implore you to listen to me. While we remain divided, we are utterly powerless against the cataclysms about to befall on all of us. Recent experiences such as the unprecedented fire in Hawaii and the historic floods in China sadly confirm this. I have personally received eyewitness accounts from Lahaina, Hawaii, a historic town that was entirely consumed by the flames. What they endured is dreadful. In Hawaii, people were trapped in an absolute nightmare. Numerous lives were lost because no timely aid was provided. Forests burned, cities burned, and people burned. And against this infernal hell, we had nothing to counterpose. Our profound helplessness, whether in Hawaii or in China, has revealed the evident unpreparedness of humanity to face such trials. It is noteworthy that both cases occurred in countries renowned for their significant military power. But why does this military power not manifest itself when the need arises to save its own citizens? If military forces were redirected to save humanity, if we possess the necessary equipment and skills, timely aid could be extended to people and numerous human lives could be saved. If the Alatra scientists had been heeded a decade ago, much of what is happening now and what will be happening in the future might have been averted. However, that all belongs to the past. We live in the present. Our decisions in the now shape whether we will have a future. Mr. Biden, Mr. Xi Jinping, Mr. Putin, I address you. In light of this critical situation, it is urgent to globally transform world politics and channel all efforts in consolidation. The armies of the world should alter their operational modes, shifting from the destruction of enemies to the saving of people. We as human beings are not enemies to each other. It is solely within the power of the three of you to shape an international agenda focused on the fact that we are not adversaries. Our Earth is truly small and our planet is highly vulnerable, teetering on the brink. There is no longer a reason to wage wars and remain divided. The only sense lies in seeking ways to unite. We must acknowledge that disaster never strikes when it is convenient. Therefore, we must address the issue of climate migration immediately, while we still have the opportunity to do so in a relatively stable situation. Conditions for people's relocation to new territories should already be established based on a democratic approach without coercion with the free will of individuals respecting all human rights. People should feel like human beings. They should feel that their lives are valuable, important, and protected, that they receive genuine rights and freedoms. We need to acutely realize now that there will soon be no one ahead or behind in this race. Therefore, countries' borders should already be open for free movement for everyone. I am fully aware and acknowledge that such unrestricted movement entails the inevitable interaction of people from diverse cultures, traditions, and customs. This necessitates the formulation of unified measures and rules that should not infringe upon the interests of other migrants or host communities. These rules should be founded on humanity and the need to respect each other and live in peace and harmony. It is vital that people don't have artificial reasons for conflict, that their honor and dignity are not violated, and that they preserve their human identity. Clearly, large-scale relocation of people will entail the necessity of reorganizing the economic system. While maintaining individual national economies, a unified planned international economy is required for the distribution of essential products and necessities and for other purposes. This unified economy should be focused on ensuring human dignified living conditions for all people, regardless of their place of residence or relocation. No country is capable of withstanding what is looming ahead. Mr. Biden, Mr. Xi Jinping, Mr. Putin, if you can hear me now, and if you have the will, humanity, and understanding of the complexity of the situation, I implore you to bring about a formal gathering of world leaders centered on how we may reorganize a global economy, restrain your militaries, and redirect your existing military equipment and resources towards saving lives. The arms inventory today possesses no weapon or weapons to counter what an abused planet is about to foist on us. It is imperative to urgently halt all disputes and disagreements and cease dividing people in a political context. Now it is vitally important to alter the international rhetoric and actualize the agenda for uniting people. We need to start with a clean slate to form friendships and mutual respect among people. And the only individuals who can effectively achieve these goals at the global level are you three beings. The future of billions of people depends on each of you. If you do not find the strength for reconciliation and consolidation of all humanity, you must understand how humankind's history will end. No political disagreements are worth this. It is the epicenter of this emergency situation where we all find ourselves today. Every country already experiences the impact of climate change. Many countries have already significantly suffered, and soon no country will be left untouched. With each passing month and day, the situation will take on even more serious and severe dimensions. But for now, we still have a chance. We have a chance if you listen to us. Now I wish to explicitly appeal to the press, to all those journalists who are not indifferent. I realize this decision is not popular, but I implore you publicly, think about yourselves, your families, your children. It hinges on you, journalists, whether citizens of countries whose presidents I'm addressing today will heed my message or not. The citizens' apprehension of the gravity of the situation can considerably sway the accuracy of the decision of the leaders of the states. If the people support it and make the right decision, the world will be saved. Journalists, you are also at the vanguard now, and a great deal relies on you in saving the world as well as on politicians and scientists alike. For scientists to act and assume responsibility for saving the future world, politicians must make the appropriate timely decision regarding the establishment of a unified International Scientific Center. For this to transpire, the lion's share of responsibility depends on you, journalist. Assist in disseminating this information so that it reaches the presidents of the countries. It must reach all citizens of these countries. We have been divided by economic and political circumstances for way too long, but now is the time to change it. We need the support of every citizen of this world. We need to restore sanity, rationality, and respect among people. If we do not fight for each other's lives, our lives will be worth absolutely nothing. Distinguished leaders of the three most prominent countries, the United States, China, and Russia, Mr. Biden, Mr. Xi Jinping, and Mr. Putin, I again address you publicly in the face of hundreds of thousands of international viewers with an urgent appeal. It is time to overcome all rivalry and discord. Yes, for many years we have competed and each fought for their own. But now is the time to fight for a united future, for one Earth, for everybody's survival. The time of national security has passed. The time for supranational security has come. This is a matter of survival of all humankind. Anomalous events that happen with the oceans and beneath the Earth's surface are catastrophic. The time has come for prudent decisions from responsible leaders. We are on the verge. If we continue on the same divisive path that has dominated for many years, our civilization will cease to exist. We must be concerned about survival, which means unity. And I address you once again. Please convene a global leaders meeting at one table, keeping a full view that the world no longer needs or appreciates the intensely important discussion about our climate destruction presented in the format of a facade, delivered via a vehicle powered by misinformation and or disinformation. The past is the past. My colleagues and I only require 2 hours of your valuable time and consideration to elucidate what is happening. And you will observe for yourselves that this danger is palpable. I am confident you can make the optimal decision after that. Humanity has no other viable option. No single country is capable of resisting this climate peril alone. Either we all together descend into this abyss, or you unite the entire world, and owing to you, humanity gains a real chance of survival. We, the scientists, comprehend where to proceed. We discern what to do. But for this, all that is required is your willful decision, the decision of the world's leading politicians. The world we live in yesterday no longer exists today. Many may not want to accept this, but regardless of our attitude, there is no reversal to the past. Either we build a new format of interrelations, cease our divisions, and protect this planet, or this destructive process, which has already become irretractable and uncontrollable, will culminate in the dismay of entire humanity. Mr. Biden, Mr. Xi Jinping, Mr. Putin, the responsibility for the global community lies on your shoulders alone. It is your will, your humanness, your apprehension of the ongoing crisis, your desire and your aspirations that will determine our future. The fate of the entire world is in your hands today. Everything depends on your collective decision. If you find the strength to come united and take timely action, then the future of humanity will have a chance to exist. Think about your people. Think about all of humanity. Without humanity, there will be nothing. It is only by your will all divisions in the world could be halted. I implore you, don't destroy the world. Unify for our collective survival. We still have a chance. If we don't seize it, all wars and politics will be meaningless. Everything will be in vain. The enormous burden rests on your shoulders. Responsibility for the future of humanity is in your hands. If you grasp the full essence of the danger we are in today, I am sure you will contribute to saving planet Earth. In closing, on behalf of all those humans who have lost their lives due to the climate destruction we have brought about through our negligence and greed, and all those humans who will lose their lives unnecessarily due to the inaction of our leaders, I implore each of you gentlemen to act in accordance with the message I delivered today. Thank you very much.